Sparkle Squad, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Jasmine and welcome to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be doing a sit down video, and I haven't done one of these in a while, but I found this article online and I decided that I was going to share it with you guys because this article I found really relates to my life as a figure skater, and I know that I don't usually share like negative things on my channel, but I always try my best to like spread happiness and stuff like that, and negative things really aren't like what I like to talk about, but I just feel like this has like a really important message and I really wanted to share it with you guys. And my mom has also always told me that I should like write like an entire book about my career as a figure skater, because almost everything that you could ever imagine has happened to me as like for the time I've been a figure skater. So I just decided that I was going to share this with you guys because I feel like it's a really important message and I feel like more people should know about it, especially if they might not be as invested in the sport. But yeah, so now I'm going to start by reading the article, and I'll also have it linked down below if you guys want to check it out for yourselves. Alright guys, so the title of this article is titled Stop Negative Comparisons in Figure Skating. So now I'm going to start reading it. Do you have a friend or rival who competes at the same level as you? Many skaters want to know how to handle the situation and stop comparing themselves to others. Here are 3 tips that you can use to stop the comparisons and get on with your skating. In the example below, I used training mate, but you can use it for any situation. An example, competitive, friend, or sibling. Alright guys, so the first section is titled Comparisons to a Training Mate. You feel pressured in competition from your training mate. You show up and see her every day. It's a race to see who lands their double axel first. Current feeling. Fear. Every day you fear your training mate will land her double axel before you. You are frustrated, grumpy, and unmotivated. When you practice your double axel, you criticize yourself for everything you do wrong. This leads to frustration and feeling hopeless. I am not a good skater and everyone is better than me. Your friendship suffers because you want to be happy for her, but you want to be the first to land the jump. This is why comparing yourself negatively to others can be a problem. It takes your focus and attention away from practicing your skills. You waste time and energy on things that you have no control over, which makes you feel helpless and frustrated. Your confidence slowly erodes and your performance suffers. You feel bad. Question: can you control if or when your training mate lands her double axel? Answer: no. In this situation, you can't make your training mate disappear. You can't change anything about your training mate or her ability. Question: what can you control? Answer: your thoughts, your perspective, and your actions. Alright, so this next section is titled Handle Your Thoughts. Most often, fear and frustration comes from thinking about the future or dwelling on the past instead of facing on what is right in front of us. Our thoughts can go 400 miles an hour and make up a million imaginary things that make us feel worse. At this point, it feels like there is nothing you can do to stop the avalanche of unhelpful thoughts. But you can take action. It isn't easy, but the more you do it, the easier it will be to. Catch your negative thoughts before they take you down the spiral into poor performance. Get your head back to focusing on your own improvement. First, you have to find a little peace from your racing thoughts. Take these steps. I call them the RTBR. 1. Recognize your mind is taking a road trip down to scary fantasy land. 2. Time out. Tell yourself to stop and take a time out. 3. Breathe. Take 7 deep breaths. 4. Refocus your attention. Now that you have a temporary space between your thoughts, focus on what you can control. We feel helpless when we focus on things out of our control, but we feel power when we focus on things that we can control. So the next section is called Change Your Perspective. Look for the benefits in any situation. Here are examples of some training mates who benefited from competitive training environment. Earlier in their careers, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer, Meryl Davis and Charlie White, and Mia Shibutani and Alex Shibutani all trained under the same coaches. Yuzuru Hanyu and Javier Fernandez trained together with Brian Orser. These skaters took advantage of the competitive and energetic environment of their training centers to become among the best in the world. Now that you know this, could you find a way to use your situation to your advantage? Examples. Take the increased pressure and use it to push you closer to your goals with clarity and focus. Instead of practicing with a mindset of fear of being left behind, practice with certainty you are moving towards landing your jump. Know that there are enough double axels for everyone. Even if your training mate lands her double axel before you, that doesn't mean that you won't land yours. There is no limit on the number of double axels in the world. It doesn't mean that she is a better skater than you are. Remember that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses and is on their own unique and independent journey to becoming a champion. Alright, so the next section is titled Take Action. Remember I mentioned we feel clarity when we focus on things that we can control. We feel better when we take action and worse when we let our thoughts take us on a road trip down to scary fantasy land. Decide what you are going to do and practice to improve your double axel. Make and follow a plan that allows you to take action that will lead to landing your double axel. Make sure your plan includes off-ice conditioning, on-ice exercises and drills, mental skills practice. Skating is a difficult sport and the athletes need all of their resources and energy to skate their best. No one feels good when compared negatively to someone else. It doesn't matter who you are being compared to or if it's at the rink, school, or at home. If you're the one doing the comparing, stop. Instead, make it a habit to focus only on the things that you can control, and you will be surprised how much your skating can improve. To build a strong mental game, you need to eliminate your stinkin' thinking and think only in ways that help you succeed. You need to do this constantly, every day, on and off the ice. Over time, this mindset will become the only way you think. Start changing your mind now. Alright guys, so that was the end of the article, but again, if you want to read it for yourselves, I'll have it linked down below in the description box. Alright guys, so you might be wondering now how this article applies to my life, but before I share that with you guys, I just wanted to share something about me as a skater, or just in a person in general. So ever since I was even younger, my entire life, I always remember that I like being with people who are in my level or who are higher than me, because I just feel like seeing people who are better than me or people who have already succeeded at things that I might not be able to do yet just helps to encourage me, and I feel like it pushes me even more. And I always find myself, especially at skating, if I'm with someone who's at a higher level than me and I'm skating with them, I can always find myself skating better, and I usually do better on those sessions or those days. And overall, I just really like skating or just anything with people who are around the same level or higher than me, because I always do better like that. I also wanted to mention that I'm also not the type of person that gets jealous easily or I don't get discouraged if someone is in a higher level than me, or if someone lands a jump first, or if does a new spin or skating move before me, because I understand that everyone is different, and sometimes in my own head I like to think of it as a game, especially when I'm with people who are higher than me. I'm always thinking to myself, I'm like, well, if they can do it, then I can do it too, and then I'll push myself until I can do it as well, and I don't know, it just helps push me more. So now we're going to kind of go back to what the article is talking about, and the article is talking about double axel, and I know that double axel is a pretty challenging jump, and it's one of those milestone jumps. And it's different for everybody. I understand that people are all different and nobody is the exact same as someone else, and it's the process of getting a double axel or just any new skill is different for everybody. I remember that when I met Ashley Wagner, she was telling us how it took her 4 years to get her double axel. For me personally, it only took 2 years, but I also know a lot of people who have gotten it in 6 months or a year, and I also know there are some people who have gotten it in way longer. But there is a different path for everyone in order to achieve the same goal. Sure, for some people it might be shorter, for some people it might be longer, but everyone is going to make it to that same goal eventually at some point in their lives. And just as the article mentioned, there is enough double axels for everybody. Everyone, if they keep working on it, they'll definitely get it someday. Alright guys, so now I'm going to start to go into my story, and this is about the time when I was working on my double axel. When I started working on my double axel, my friend also started working on her double axel at the same time that I did, and we almost had two completely different personalities, because I'm the type of person who's super confident and I'll go for anything first try, and I don't usually think about what will happen in the future. I'll just go and I'll do it and then hope for the best. But she, on the other hand, was more timid, and she was a little bit more afraid to try new things. So as I mentioned, I was the kid that would try anything new first try, and as I kept working on my double axel, I slowly started to get closer and closer, and my double axel started to get better. And at this point, I noticed that my friend was also starting to pull away from me, and it's not even necessarily my friend who was at fault in this situation, but it was mainly my friend's parents, because they would constantly tell me that I was super lucky that I was able to do my double axel, but they would also be They would also tell me that because I'm getting closer to my double axel, I was discouraging their daughter because because I was getting closer and her daughter was a little bit behind me on her double axel. And honestly, this felt like really bad to me because I didn't know why she was feeling bad, because I never felt that before. And I was 11 years old at the time, and having like a parent tell an 11-year-old that I was discouraging their daughter when I was finally starting to do something good or I was getting better just made me feel like I was to blame, and I didn't feel really good, and it was kind of like discouraging to me almost. Probably even more than it was towards the daughter, and it was just like a really tough time. And like I was over here, I constantly kept thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know like what to do, because obviously I wanted to land my double axel, but I don't want to keep getting blamed for discouraging someone else's daughter. So eventually I kept working on my double axel, and I finally was able to land it. And my double axel wasn't completely consistent at this point. I was still only landing it around like 3 out of 10 times, and it wasn't my best jump, obviously. But especially after I landed it, the daughter's parents continued to tell me that I was discouraging their daughter because I landed my axel, and they also kept blaming me and telling me that their daughter didn't want to skate anymore, that she wanted to stop jumping because I landed my double axel first. And essentially they were blaming me for landing my double axel before their daughter and discouraging her with something that I pretty much couldn't control. After this, the parents kept talking to the coaches, and they kept complaining that the coaches were pushing me more than their daughter, and it became like this whole thing. And after that, I noticed that my coaches also started to hold me back, and they pushed the other girl more than they did me. And it just made me feel like really bad that they were holding me back after I had this huge accomplishment, and I had a lot of like more things that I could have kept on learning, but I was stuck in that one spot. And also, remember, I was 11 at the time, and this just like was something that was like really, it made me feel really bad. And some days I would even leave the rink crying because their parents and my coaches were also like blame me and stuff like that for landing my double axel before this other girl did. And I am like the person, I don't want to hurt other people. Like, I don't want other people to feel bad because of something that I did. And because of that, I felt even worse because I didn't want people to be blaming me for this other girl feeling bad because of something that I did. And like, I want everyone to be happy. So I was just super confused, and I didn't know like what was going on. So after this entire situation, or during this entire situation, COVID began and the rinks closed everywhere. And this was really the time that we had time to think about this entire situation. And this was when everything started to like clear up and everything started to go back to what it normally was, because we finally, me and my parents, we sat down and we thought about this situation, because I really didn't want to go back to that same environment after rinks opened back up, because I didn't want to cause any, like, I didn't want anyone to feel bad because of something that I did. And I also didn't want to go back because I felt like if I would have, then I would have also maybe held myself back more, or I would have been held back more by my coaches and also like the entire environment in general, and I wouldn't be where I am today if I would have gone back. And over COVID, we decided that I was going to switch coaches, and now I'm in a much better environment, and I'm a lot happier than what I was then. And now I feel like I am able to push myself without having to like worry about discouraging someone else. Alright guys, so that was the story of my double axel and the entire situation that was going on during the time that I was working towards getting my double axel. But now I also have another story that I wanted to share, and this one is also kind of related to what the article was talking about. But this actually happened right after COVID started to die down and rinks started to open back up. And the rink that this happened at wasn't completely opened yet, and it was like pretty limited in skating time and stuff like that. But I was on the ice, and it was me and my friends, and there was this other girl, but we were all so excited that we were finally back on the ice because we were off for like a while, and we were just all super happy to be on the ice again. And it was me and my friends, and we weren't really paying attention to the other people that were on the ice that time because we were just trying to like have fun, and we were just super excited that the rinks were finally opened again. And then after a while, this other girl that was on the ice with us, she got off of the ice, and I really never thought anything about it because people obviously get off the ice and they get on, and I just thought that she was done or something, or she might have just been taking a break. But my mom actually ended up telling me this story after I got off of the ice. So after the girl got off of the ice, my mom and another worker at the rink went up to her because they noticed that she was crying and they wanted to make sure that she was all right, because at the time my mom thought that she had fell or hurt herself, and she just wanted to make sure that she was okay and that nothing happened on the ice. And they asked the girl what had happened, and the girl responded, and she said that the girls that were on the ice, which was me and my friends, that we were discouraging her because we were better than her. And so after that, my mom asked her how old she was, and she responded and said that she was 25 years old. My mom asked her how long she's been skating for, and she said 6 months, which is pretty new and it's not that long. And I think at the time the girl didn't know that my mom was my mom, because she was complaining and stuff like that about how we were lucky and stuff like that. And so my mom said that my daughter has been skating for 10 years, because I had been skating for 10 years at that point. And then she started to say that we were lucky that our parents pay for our skating and stuff like that. And my mom responded and said that, well, my daughter's 13. Like, obviously, I can't pay for my own skating when I'm 13, and my mom also said that once I was 25 or something, if I wanted to keep skating or if I wanted to start a new hobby, then I would have to pay for myself. But this really isn't something that you should be discouraged about, especially if someone who's younger than you has parents that are willing to pay or who are just better than you, because especially if you don't know how long someone has been skating for, you shouldn't compare yourself to others, because someone could have been skating for like almost 3 times as long as you have been. So it's not something that you should be comparing yourself to others with. So the reason that I wanted to bring this story up is because I wanted to mention that you shouldn't be discouraged by others, especially in such a high demand sport. You shouldn't feel like discouraged because you don't know everyone's backstory. I feel like that's something that a lot of people really don't look at in this sport, because you don't know what someone has been through, you don't know what their life is like and stuff like that. So I feel like you shouldn't compare yourself to them, especially if someone has been skating for a lot longer than you have. And in my opinion, this girl that I was just mentioning, she was only been skating for 6 months, but in my opinion, she was actually a fairly good skater, and I honestly thought that she had been skating for longer than 6 months, so she was really good for how long she had been skating for. So if she would have stuck with it and if she would have continued, then I feel like she could have been really good if she would have continued. Alright guys, so this video actually ended up being a lot longer than what I expected, so I'm really sorry about that, but I have one last thing that I wanted to share with you guys, and it's this quote. And if you guys have been with me on my channel for a while now, you might have seen this quote a long time ago, because I think I shared this on my YouTube channel before, but the quote is, "It's not about being better than someone else, it's about being better than you were yesterday." And I feel like this definitely goes to, like, with the article that I especially read, and also the stories that I shared with you guys, because you want to make sure that you never compare yourself to someone else, because again, everybody is different, and you just want to make sure that you are the one improving personally, and you want to make sure that you keep getting better every day. Alright guys, so this is the end of the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I want you guys to comment down below if you have any stories just like these, or if you've ever felt this feeling before of like being discouraged by someone else, because comment those down below, because I would love to hear them, and I want to hear everyone's story if they have something that was similar to this. But I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Love you guys. Bye!